This is The Baseline, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. Welcome, everybody. You're tuned to The Baseline. Cal Lee, Warren Shaw, discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. I know it's been a minute, but I know it feels real good for us to get back on it and ride out and start talking NBA basketball. We're getting a little bit closer to that time frame. Media day, training camp, tip-off. It's all coming together, and it'll happen right before you know it. But as always, man, let me go ahead and roll out the red carpet to my right-hand man's www.shawsports.net, Big Kahuna PNC, my man, Mr. Warren Shaw, ripping out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What's good, Mr. Shaw? How you been, my man?
Trying to make it, brother. Miss getting on the mic here with you. So glad to be back in that space here. As you alluded to, the NBA season is creeping, inching up on us here too. Media day tentatively slated for October 2nd. So just under a month away, bro. And man, we'll be right back in the hamster wheel of the NBA family.
Oh, totally. And listen, let it not be said, man. You know those guys that got paid in the offseason. They cooking up something to for that media day. They got something ready to go. And it's likely going to be AI generated too. Oh my goodness! Have you seen did you see that at SoFi Stadium they actually implanted AI generated fans? They actually tested this out.
I missed that. As I'm not the biggest NFL football dude, but did not catch that one.
I'm telling you this. I don't know if it's scary or just more concerning.
A little both.
Both. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't need to be sitting next to Manny Faces to see what version of fandom I'm gonna be sitting next to. You know what I mean? Like if you're there for a Bulls Lakers for a Celtics Lakers game, and you got AI generated dude. 1 minute he looks like a Celtics fan, next minute he looks like a Lakers fan. Some homicidal's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, I'll stay home for that. I'm good on that.
Yeah, all right. Listen, we got a great show on tap, man. A lot of good things to get into, some news and notes that are obviously important. And in our breakdown conversation, Shaw and I will discuss our all breakout team. We're basically looking at dudes who this is an opportunity for them to really get in front of the center stage spotlight, so to speak, kind of get the name out there a lot more than where people have probably heard from them. Is this their moment to shine? And we got a couple of people that we were going to throw out there to put on your radar. You know what I'm saying? Because we do believe that there is opportunity there for them to really make something happen for this upcoming NBA season. So great stuff to be had by all. And again, we appreciate you and yours for hopping on board with us this week. As always, get at my man Shaw at Shaw Sports NBA or get at me at GameFace Lee. The show's Twitter handle. I'm sorry, the show's X handle. I keep forgetting. We can't even use Twitter no more with this nonsense. The show's X handle at NBA Baseline. So as always, if you want to catch out our episode and any of the previous episodes, you can actually go to our home base, which is www.baselinenba.com. Also know that we run with the 19 Media Group. So if you catch us on the visual, like you do on YouTube, you see the nice blue and white logo. That's the 19 Media Group. That's our family. We rocks with the 19 Media Group. So be sure to go to www.19mediagroup.com to catch us and the plethora of great content and shows that are on slate under the 19 Media Group family. Be sure to go to www.19mediagroup.com. Shaw, let's get right into it, man. News and notes. A lot of stuff happening already in the backdrop, so to speak, of the NBA climate. First, obviously, on tap is the unsuccessful attempt at Team USA's ability to capture FIBA World Championship glory. They yet again fall short. What do we make of Team USA not getting it done once more?
Yeah, I'm not going to rail on them too much. I think you can go elsewhere for some of that content. It's been, ad nauseum. Once they lost that first game, in the FIBA World Cup, it was kind of just like, oh, all right, well, are they really that good? And everyone's like pining for everybody. They don't have enough size, et cetera, et cetera. Losing to Germany was rough. And losing to Canada to fail to get the medal, the bronze, again, that was tough too. My biggest point of contention here now, not contention, is LeBron James. Things always seem to work out for my guy LeBron, and I applaud him now coming out here as we record here today saying, well, he's going to help lead an effort basically to get everybody to play at the Olympics. And we all know that that's where a lot of these stars were kind of angling, hoping to get to. But now the stage is set for LeBron, to be in year, whatever it'll be next year, 22, 23, whatever long the guy's been playing. I always forget now, right? To be pushing 40 years old and to be the hero, if you will, to redeem the USA with his, band of cronies, Steph Curry and Lillard and Kevin Durant, all the guys who he's saying to recruit. How mighty, how interesting how the stage has been set for him for the Olympics next year after this latest USA failure in the FIBA World Championships. I love it. I love how the narrative is shaking out.
Oh, listen, while you're at it, why don't you, what I'm saying, he can, call up Carmelo, say, hey,
He's
bro.
an ambassador. I think he's an
Exactly.
ambassador for now.
Yeah, you want to ride out one more time? Want to show him how it's done? How many times he's won the chip, right, for Team USA, right? I'm surprised that he was not recruited to be among, maybe not so much a player, but as a coach for some of these guys. Look, there's something that I just think is an underlying theme. Won't belabor the point, because to your point, Shaw, we can sit here and knock them for, again, falling short. But my thing is this. It seems like the Team USA is continually searching, right? Before they used to they can impose whatever kind of strategy they want to the rest of the world stage. Now you can just see Team USA is trying to find the perfect formula. They're trying to find the perfect fit, Never had to worry about that because of the versatility and talent that Team USA often had in its players and its athletes. Now it's like they are trying to fit the whole gamut of a style that may not comport with the way that the world is playing, And it's interesting because before, whatever was happening in FIBA World Cup wasn't really anything for us to be foreshadowing about our expectations about what they would do in the Olympics. And I think now that gap has narrowed so much so to the point where you do need a LeBron James to go out and literally recruit the kind of players that are going to be impassioned and emboldened to go out there and do what obviously Team USA cannot do on its own volition. Like, the name of it can no longer be done just because it's Team USA. Like, not even just the coaches itself. Like, there has to be a cohesive understanding that we're going to go out and dominate and get it. And I don't think people are getting that sentiment. And I'm sure that they'll figure it out as they come around that time frame for Olympic time. But these, tournaments, they set the stage for that. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that Team USA just can't get it right, up to that point, just to me, just speaks more about what Team USA's lack of focus or prioritization or understanding. It was never this difficult, but it seems to be now, just to me.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, roster construction is a big part of it. So a lot of guys did not want to play in FIBA, and they were potentially waiting for the Olympic stage, so to speak. I don't know if I'm those guys now, even though they failed to medal. I'd want my chance to redeem ourselves, if you will, on the Olympic stage. But that's how that's going to go. Some of them will still be on this roster, but if LeBron, Curry, Lillard, Durant, Booker, all those guys come calling Team USA. They're gonna just say, listen, thanks, Mikal Bridges, we'll see you next time. You know what I mean? Like, thanks, Paulo Banchero, like, we'll see you next time. That's just how that's gonna go. But again, I think if it were me as a competitive spirit, I'd want my chance to redeem myself after not getting it done here on the FIBA stage. But again, 2024 and is in France as the Olympics. We'll see the NBA stars, getting a chance to redeem themselves with LeBron leading the charge.
All right. Out in San Antonio, Cam Payne. The campaign has ended. And so he's now been waived by the San Antonio Spurs. There's an expectation as well that Victor Wembanyama is going to play power forward or play the 4 position. So what do we make of the San Antonio Spurs making a little bit of offseason headlines or head waves, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just trying to do Cam Payne a solid. They're not going to be competitive. He was, traded from the Suns over to San Antonio, which would have been a competitive situation for him. But now he'll have an opportunity to go somewhere, and I think he'll garner some interest. I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Toronto shows some interest. I wouldn't say Toronto's a contender, but they could probably definitely use some depth at the point guard position. Memphis would probably maybe a little bit too heavy with Ja eventually coming back into the fold, but would be good Derrick Rose insurance in that situation. I think Boston could potentially look at that
I was
situation. They
just
wanted
about
a
to throw
true
them out there.
playmaker, but they're promising Peyton Pritchard some minutes here now too. So I don't know if that will make sense for them ultimately. And then again, I think there's a bunch of teams that are going to be at least in playoff contention that will have some interest in him. So San Antonio does him a solid. And then with Wemby going to the 4, I think we saw this, when a slider frame individual comes into the league, they got to kind of grow into their body. Remember, Durant came into the league from Texas and played in Seattle that final year the Sonics were in existence, and Durant was the 2. He was a shooting guard. That's how they started him, so he could kind of grow into the role and have to go up against less physical competition on the defensive side of the basketball. So I think for San Antonio, they feel like they will be able to give Zach Collins some time at the 5, and when we can kind of grow into that 4 role by being a versatile guy who can obviously still play defense on that side, block some shots, but not necessarily have to going against the rigors of trying to post guys up or getting posted up on rather, and going into that physical battle on a regular basis.
Only thing I'm going to say with regards to the idea of moving Wembanyama to that position is how long this style of basketball will lend itself to afford the Spurs the opportunity to move him in certain spots that his natural height, and because I don't really see his body filling out, same way like say like a Tim Duncan did. And if you look at the way that the 5 position is structured now, a lot of these guys are very slender. They're not bulky big. We're not like Robert Trailer days, you know what I'm saying, type thing. There's only a few
Right.
players that actually operate in that kind of space. So I think Wembanyama, I think for the most part, depending on how Popovich really wants to utilize the game being played through him. To your point, I found it somewhat interesting. Would he be brazen and bolden to have him play like, what I'm saying, play a point guardish style type of basketball at, 7'4", like that would be a
Well,
nuts. But I'm just saying.
yeah, he doesn't have the handle like that, and at least not in terms of like play creation. I mean, he can dribble a little bit, try to get his own shot, but they're not going to run offense in the same way that like Jokic does per se. But he might be able to do some stuff where he could be a capable passer, as a 4 or 5 type player. And it's interesting, Durant never really kind of grew physically into the body, but he got stronger, just by virtue of becoming an older man. And has some wiry strength that we're often are not privy to. So I think that's where they're going with Wemby and just kind of try to protect him a little bit this first year, as in his rookie season.
I will say this though, Shaw, and I think this is to me a little bit about what I was trending towards when it comes to Jokic and even say Durant. It's not so much the skills as much as it is the mentality. Like you can clearly see, like Jokic is the kind of guy that he wants the ball, and he's heady smart on knowing how he can dribble and how he's going to maneuver with the basketball in tow. And you see the same thing with Kevin Durant. So even if the idea is oh, this guy is like 7 foot plus, I should be able, we should be able to trap, we should be able to do certain things. What I'm just alluding to is if Wembanyama is the type of player that everyone expects him to be, he's going to command that the mentality that he will have. It will be to command the offense and everything going through him, meaning he has no problem with taking that basketball up the court. He has no problem with facilitating in a point forward type of space because he knows what he wants to do and wants the rest of the team to kind of follow suit. So I would be interested to see if that's how he continues to trend, or will he be the type of player like back in the day when Popovich had Tim Duncan, where the ball, he needs a Tony Parker, and that ball's got to get to Tim Duncan. It'll be interesting to see what version of Wembanyama, emerges in the next couple of years for how the Spurs are going to orchestrate their offense. So
I'll just say, I think in this first year, it's going to be very more traditional. There, San Antonio is not going to overwork him. And I think have him trying to bring the ball up or anything like that too. I think he's somebody who will get his opportunity to create in half court, but not get a rebound and then explode to the basket, come to the other end or try to create for others. They have some playmakers on that team already, even some other young guards who they're trying to continue to develop. And I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do alongside Wemby. I think it just be interesting to see how he plays alongside Zach Collins and Jeremy Sokan and those guys, not necessarily worrying about having to do any type of creation, at least not in year 1.
Absolutely. You're tuned to the Baseline. Cali, Warren Shaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA as we continue our conversation on some of the news and notes happening in the association. Shaw, Christian Wood, he's finally good in LA. He's all good in the wood. He is an LA Laker. What do we make of the Lakers adding another big to the roster?
Yeah, I thought it was a smart signing for them. Basically paying nothing to kind of get him. I wasn't quite sure why he was out there as long as he was. I know some people think he's an empty calories type guy or whatever the case may be. The Lakers continue what is, at least on paper, to be a pretty successful offseason. I know a lot of our Laker fans and faithful on 19 Media Group, shout out to Ricky Barnes and Late Night Lake Show. They were like, hey, we're reinvigorated. We're more excited now about the season coming up because, Davis is going to take his annual sabbatical. Something's going to happen where he'll probably not get to play, a full complement of games. And Wood is more than capable of filling in, in that time, even if you just need to rest Davis. So pretty solid signing, I think, for them. Gives him some stretchability at that 4-5 position. He can block a couple shots. He's not a great defender, but he can block some shots. And he can rebound. So I think it's a great signing. And I'm a little puzzled why other teams didn't go after him, even if that was a role that they were asking, if that he was willing to play. I just find it awkward. But he also apparently said he always wanted to be a Laker. So maybe the Lakers' exceptionalism kind of kicked in here too, and that's why they're able to get that guy.
Hey man, it's a good move. No matter how you slice it, he's still a solid player. Even though his numbers continue to be maligned a little bit, given how he kind of broke out. Interestingly, our topic will be later on about breakout players, how he broke out from out of Houston. He's been somewhat meandering through certain teams, and the numbers don't seem to equate what the talent still tends to show us. So to your point, Shaw, look, and it could be even as well to the influence that Darvin Ham, I think, is going to have on some of these guys. I think he's going to press it upon a guy like Chris Wood. Say, hey, man, you trying to get that bag in the next couple of years, bro. You're going to have to be able to do it. And it's like, what better way for you to be able to really signify that by playing on a roster like what the Lakers have constructed, because he's going to be needed. I just feel like with the way that this team is going to be levied against all of the competition now in the Western Conference, the Lakers are going to have to be a deep team. They're going to have to be. And you want guys who have an opportunity to step up and show out. And Christian Wood's one of those guys where his talent can allow him to do that. But the consistency, I think, is going to be predicated on the accountability factor that tends to happen when you've got a coach like Darvin Ham. We'll see if whether or not that will translate to a deep run again for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah. The only guy not happy about Wood being there is Jackson Hayes. Jackson Hayes thought I was going to be right up there behind AD. Now you fall to the third big, and not looking as great as it once did. But got to make it work.
Listen, Jackson Hayes is just saying, like, look, man, you got to move me. Well, I'm not going to put words in his mouth. We'll see how he fans out. All right, Shaw. So finally, in our news and notes, it looks like the NBA is going to be seeking to pass tougher rules on resting their stars. The quote unquote load management may be coming to an abrupt end, or at least a harsh reality for NBA teams, coaches, ownership. Can't be messing around with this idea of just sitting guys out whenever you feel like it, because it sounds like Adam Silver and the committee competition committee is like, yo, enough of this, right? Like, we cannot continue to operate in this space. We're going to lose money hand over fist on TV deals and things of that nature. Just not a good look. So the NBA looks like they're going to start imposing some serious penalties.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of caveats to this here as we record. It's expected to pass by the NBA Board of Governors, later this week. But it's a penalty system that kind of has progression, if you will. I think it's the first one's $100,000, then $250,000, and then $1 million each offense after that. $1 million on top of the previous offenses. So if you've done it 3 times, well, then that's $1 million, and then you do it 3 times, or it'd be $1,250,000, 250, and then $1 million. That would be $2,250,000. Like it gets to be pretty expensive, I think, after if you continue to violate. What I'm more interested in, though, is not necessarily the aspect of the national TV games or the in-season games. The tournament games rather, but it'll be once we get down to that time, like how they shut Damian Lillard down last year, because that's part of it now as well too. Like, where shutting down players that impacts the integrity of the game, and then those players not even being in the arena, especially when they're in opposing arenas, and fans at least just want to be able to get a glimpse of those guys and take pictures or so forth and so forth. So it's a little bit of a slippery slope I think the NBA is trying to navigate down. I understand where they're trying to go with it. I just don't know how well it's going to be received, and if the teams are going to quite frankly, give a F whether or not this actually works out, because they may figure, oh no, he's really hurt, and that's why that's why he's not playing. So I don't know how the league is actually going to mandate the actual aspect of the rest versus injury.
I don't know so much as I agree with you. I'm not sure how the NBA is going to mandate, but I will say that this is needed because the NBA can no longer look the other way on this anymore. They can no longer get up in front of microphones and, try to PR their way out of this situation. There's nothing to PR. Nobody likes this. Okay. And if the NBA is using players as a scapegoat, fine. But what I like is the idea that you're going to have to involve the ownership in this, right? The ownership really can't skate themselves away on the idea of this simply because it's Adam Silver's responsibility to figure this thing out, so to speak. This does come down to ownership having to take responsibility for this, because I can rest assure you, the same kind of conflicts that you have with Kawhi Leonard and the same kind of conflicts that you've had with most star players who are adamant about wanting to play, but then are getting bad diagnoses in regards to their health status and things of that nature. There's going to have to be some more transparency in regards to whether or not players are adequately ready to handle the rigors of playing in an NBA season or playing the number of games that needed to be played. And that means that they're going to have to show it all in front of the public eye. They cannot get away with this idea of saying, well, we just said it and therefore it's stone. No, like, is the player legitimately injured? You know what I'm saying? And the circumstances of him being out, are you really resting him because of the fact that it's because of this injury or whatever the case may be? Like, it doesn't have to be as layered as it necessarily needs to be anymore, simply because the stakes are way too high. Again, I agree with you. I don't think that it's going to completely fly. I think there's going to be a lot of vitriol given towards what's happening. But I like the idea that if you're going to come down, and to me, the NBA has been more a model of consistency when it comes to these new rules than, say, the other, major sports. When they come with these rules, there's never consistency. There seems to be a lot of ambiguity. I think it's just going to be straight up for what it is. And they'll probably come down a little bit as soon as they start seeing teams and players hold themselves a little bit more accountable, become more of the adults in the room, so to speak, than the NBA having to babysit this whole situation and compromise major TV deals moving forward.
All right, I'm gonna just for a little bit of fun. First team that's gonna get fined for violating the rules.
Clippers.
I think that those are the betting odds. You know what? That was maybe a little easier than I
only because you want to know why? Only because you think about a guy that has a stranglehold on an organization and have pushed their chips all in on hoping that this is the year that he stays healthy the whole time. I wouldn't have probably have said Clippers, right? There could be other couple of teams that I could throw out there that probably are very much further into that realm, so to speak. But the only reason why is because nobody hostage a team better than Kawhi. So,
well, Kawhi is gonna look over him like, Bomber, you got it. You know what I mean?
You like that call.
Yeah, that's actually, that's a good call. That's a good call. Clippers for sure.
Nice. You're tuned to The Baseline. Callie Warrenshaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA. Coming up, we're going to talk about our all breakout team. Who are those guys that are going to probably be on the come up? And this is their opportunity for them to shine. You do not want to miss out on some of the players that we're going to be throwing out there that we think may be poised to have that kind of season for the 2023-2024 NBA season. But before we do that, we got to let you guys know about Blue View. Blue View footwear. If you don't know, now you know. Are you ready to step up your style game without compromising the planet? Introducing an exciting partnership between Blue View Footwear and 19 Media Group Network. Blue View Footwear is renowned for introducing the world's first fully biodegradable and durable sneaker to lead a revolution in cleaner materials and manufacturing. They offer a sleek and contemporary style that can cater to a wide range of tastes. Blue View has fully revolutionized the footwear industry. Their innovative plant-based sneakers are constructed of 100% biodegradable materials without sacrificing durability for environmental responsibility. Blue View Footwear believes that fashion and sustainability can coexist harmoniously. Just visit bit.ly/Blueview19 and you'll see the ultimate collaboration of fashion and sustainability and media excellence. Once again, visit bit.ly/Blueview19. And whenever you make a purchase, you will also be supporting the Baseline NBA podcast. And as always, we appreciate you and your patronage. Coming up, we talk all breakout here on the Baseline. Time to break it down. To the bone gristle. Time now for the breakdown. Callie Warren Shaw, Baseline NBA podcast. And this segment of the breakdown is brought to you by NBA Store. The NBA Store is, if you're looking for the ultimate destination in NBA gear, then you need to look no further than with the NBA Store. With a huge selection of authentic and high-quality products, including jerseys, hats, and accessories, the NBA Store has everything you need to show off your team pride. Plus, with an exclusive and limited edition items, you can make your collection truly one of a kind. Also, an online presence allows you to shop from anywhere in the world. So don't miss out on the latest trends and experiences. Visit the NBA Store today by clicking on our affiliate link. If you're listening to us on your favorite audio platform, be sure to check the link in the description of the show. The Baseline is working in affiliation with the NBA Store /Fanatics and will be compensated for your patronage by utilizing our link. As always, when you make that purchase, you're supporting us and you're also supporting your team. So we thank you for your support. Be sure to go to nbastore.vwz6.net/baseline. All right, Shaw. It's that time for us, man. We got to talk all breakout, man. We often talk about the stars. We talk about the rookies. We talk about executive and the head coaches and MVPs. But we don't talk about the guys that I really think people should be paying attention to, because this could be their year. This could be the moment where not only are they going to be put in the spotlight, but they could very well be positioning themselves for the quote unquote bag, so to speak, right? Like, so you had come up with a couple of guys that I really like, the list that you had started putting together of what you considered as the all breakout team, backcourt, front court players combined. So I want you to talk about it, Shaw. First, let's give people your interpretation of what all breakout seems to be. I've kind of given you what's on the surface, but give me another level to what all breakout means to you.
Yeah, I love it, man. So what we're going to do here is, for me, the breakout guys are not, some guys are going to be they're going to take statistical jumps, right? But I think for the initiated, the basketball public, we're going to say, you know what, this guy is really valuable. And we're going to see them just take another leap some ways, not only in just their production, but their overall value to the teams that they play on. And some of it will be a result of just new roles and more minutes. Maybe some of these guys are going to get into the most improved conversation, so forth and so forth. But, I'm cheating a little bit with some of these guys, because they're on their trajectory already for stardom. But then I have a couple of guys, you know what? Hey, they've been in the league a little while now. And I think their roles are going to be a little bit different as well, too. So I think it's a combination of statistical improvement, but also, again, just kind of awareness from the basketball public of realizing how much these guys bring to their rosters individually.
Absolutely. All right. So one person that, we've been saying, he's definitely talented. He was drafted high. Detroit Pistons are loving what they are going to hopefully potentially see. Last year was a derailment due to the injury, the early outset of the season. Cade Cunningham, Shaw, is someone that jumps to mind for you as part of the all breakout team.
He does, and I'm definitely sipping a little bit of the summer Kool-Aid, if you will, from his stint as on the the USA Team Select, and all the reports that he looks absolutely amazing. He's on a comeback trail, so to speak, as a guy who's obviously drafted extremely high. The Pistons he is the cornerstone of their franchise here, but I think we're going to see amazing things from Cunningham. So this is one of my cheats where he already has a talent and was already projected to be, kind of that dude. But the injury last year really derailed that second season. But I think he's going to be easily a 20-point per game guy, even with all the stuff that Detroit has done to improve their roster. And then, new coach Monty Williams there as well, too. I'm really excited about the prospect of Cade Cunningham this upcoming season. I won't say he's going to be a double-double or triple-double threat every single night, but he's going to be damn near close to that as well, too. And, even alongside Jaden Ivey and Wiseman and all the other guys that they have there, Isaiah Stewart and the like, I think Cade is definitely poised for a huge season this year in Detroit.
I think I agree with you 110%. And it's kind of interesting because I actually have James Wiseman poised to have a breakout season. And the reason why I say that, Shaw, is because of Monty Williams. I think that while Cade is going to have such a positive effect on this team, I think these guys are going to really kind of tap in and they're going to really, run with where Cade's going to be. I think Cade's impact on James Wiseman, to me, if Cade stays healthy, James Wiseman stays healthy, this could be a very athletically dangerous back duo in as far as competitiveness. I don't know if they're going to win a ton of games. I think that there's going to be a learning curve, but if there's anybody who can usurp that learning curve real quick, it's any Monty Williams led basketball team, right? Like,
Sure.
So I'm telling you right now, one of the downfalls for the Pistons is their inability to rebound the basketball, their inability to really impose their will from the front court side. I still think there's so much upside, so to speak, with Wiseman. If he could just figure it out, and maybe having a coach like Monty Williams who will really hold him accountable, not really give up on him, this is a great opportunity for him to emerge. He's going to be playing with the likes of Giannis. He's going to be playing, with Vucevic and these guys. He's going to have to learn. He's going to be playing against Jared Allen. That kind of competition, you know what I'm saying? Iron sharpens iron. And I feel like Wiseman can be a better of that circumstance and situation in that fold.
Yeah, and I hope so. I'm rooting for Wiseman. My only concern is because of Isaiah Stewart being there, and then the fact that Jalen Duren is such a big presence for them as well too. And Duren captured that starting center spot from them last year, and they still have Marvin Bagley, so they're a little crowded, I think, in the front court situation, with them wanting to kind of see where they can get out of Duren. I guess Bagley could potentially be the odd man out in that situation at some point. But I believe he re-upped or something. It was just one of those peculiar moves. Is like that they didn't have to do that. But at the end of the day, where we'll see where that lands for Wiseman and how Monty will manage basically four bigs who all think and deserve that they should have playing time this upcoming season. But I like that pick because he does have a lot of upside.
Absolutely. All right. Austin Reeves. Now you were like very high on it when you initially put him down, but now you're kind of like, well, simply because of everything that's already happened for him, right? Like he's part of Team USA and FIBA. It's almost like it's like he broke out before he got through puberty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
there's no trade secrets being busted here at all. Like we I think we all see it. And shout out to our guy Jabari, who's been saying this for a while, even on our air and even off air, and like text conversations that I've had with him as well too. He's like, listen, this kid is really good, and I think it's going to be one of those things where we're going to see a statistical jump from him this year, but there's going to be some of the intangibles and what he does. And like pressure relieving LeBron, I think in some ways, some of the play creation that he's able to do, he's able to rebound, he's able to defend. And I think the Lakers are going to be worth their proverbial salt this year. He's going to have a lot to do with how far they go. While I joked in the playoffs about him calling himself him and all that other stuff like that too, he's a really, really solid basketball player who I think is going to garner a lot of attention and is going to have a lot of fans rooting for him as well too. Austin Reeves might have, one of the biggest jersey hikes in terms of sales this coming season as well too. I think just again, based on what we've seen coming into the summer and then his performance in FIBA. So shout out to him, but really excited about the perspective of what he's going to be able to do on both sides of the basketball. And I think it's going to translate to some wins for the Lakers for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue with Austin Reeves not being, added to this list. And I really think it's odd in a way though, because when you think, LeBron James, you don't think of his influence on a young player like an Austin Reeves. It's typically more the veterans that he has, or guys who have a little bit more teeth in the game that are, young still, but are kind of budgeting superstars who just don't know how to win, basketball games, or don't know how to win on their own, or, they were former franchise players like, Kyrie Irving, or Kevin Love, so to speak. He could take those guys to that next step. But the idea that he's doing this with Austin Reeves, I think is great. One, for him, but more importantly, I think for Austin Reeves. I mean, who none better for him to elevate himself and to put himself easily in that conversation. If he goes out and executes, he is in a way, facilitating a conduit of relief to Anthony Davis, who by
Yeah.
all accounts is supposed to be the heir apparent. But I think the heart and soul of this excitement that people have about the Los Angeles Lakers, I think really goes through Austin Reeves. So it's great to see that he's taking that on, and he's not shying from it. He's actually putting it out there even more by showing people he's got skills, getting on other stages like FIBA and showing it, rather than, hiding away, or just only showing, clips on TikTok or Instagram or something like that, where we really don't know whether or not he's capable of taking that next leap. I think that he's ready for that next leap. All right, Shaw. Who else did we have slated on our all breakout team? Interesting one you've got here, Grant Williams. Are we talking about the same Grant Williams that was talking smack to Jimmy Butler, Jimmy B, Jimmy Buckets, that now is playing with the Dallas Mavericks? You're predicting breakout season for Grant Williams. You must have.
Yeah. And this is definitely one where it's not going to be, oh, he's going to be this, 20 point per game guy and, 12 rebounds and so forth and so forth. It's
Mhm,
the ability to potentially start here in Dallas on a regular basis,
mhm.
flanked by Luka and Kyrie, who will be able to give him some great looks. He's become a more than competent 3-point shooter. I think with those two guys specifically, and more specifically Luka, being able to create for you, he's going to be able to knock down corner threes ad nauseum. And I think what he brings on the toughness side and the defense side is something that Dallas can really, really kind of hang their hat on. And they don't have another guy like that. I think he'll be able to challenge, if Kyrie gets a little boisterous, I think in some ways, or wants to go on his kind of annual sabbatical, he'll be able to be a voice in the locker room as well, too. I think people are going to see again, the intangible value of Grant Williams, in addition to some statistical production that we may not know that he's capable of. Remember, this is a guy who helped Boston win a playoff game, a couple years ago against the Milwaukee Bucks. What do you have, like 36 or whatever the case may be? He's knocking down like 8, 10 threes, whatever it was. He's a guy who really is. He's going to work hard. He's going to do the things that help you win. And I think, it's going to be really shown, especially with the pageantry that Luka Doncic brings to the game. Grant Williams is really going to be able to thrive off of that, and he's going to really help Dallas this season.
Yeah, I like that pick. In your explanation of it, I I don't want to say I would be hating on it. But I guess the equivalent to who you selected in Grant Williams, I'm thinking maybe with David Roddy out in Memphis.
Ooh,
Look,
deep cut.
yeah. Well, I just like his game, man. I like the fact that he really reminds me a lot like who am I thinking of? Sharp, who also plays, for the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just feel like, he's such Brandon. I'm sorry, not Sharp, Brandon Clark. But he
Brandon
just
Clark.
reminds me, yeah. But he reminds me more of the smaller version of Brandon Clark, which I believe is going to be necessary. That he can be utilized a whole lot more for Taylor Jenkins in that squad. So it'll be interesting to see, whether or not. And let's remember too, John Morant's going to be gone. So while yes, they have Marcus Smart, they've got Bain, they've got Jackson, they've got Adams, and they've got Clark. I still think that from that wing position, Roddy has an opportunity for him to impose his will on the league, to kind of really help solidify the Memphis Grizzlies in their efforts to maintain while Morant is gone. And so I just think that this could be an opportunity for him to really kind of step out, so to speak, because there's going to be a lot of question marks about whether or not the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be able to keep up with the duration, with the amount of time that Ja's not going to be on the basketball court. That doesn't mean that Roddy has to be their savior. What I'm saying is he can definitely make them a more complete team if he, kind of inserts himself and kind of elevates what he gave us on the second half of last season, especially during those moments when Ja Morant had been suspended for all of the things that were going on.
Roddy has some talent, so I mean, there's some value there too. Again, I would just be interested to see, can he usurp, even Brandon Clark coming back and being healthy, even Zion Williams, who they have there as well too, who's vying for minutes and wants to get into the fold. Kennard, who they acquired late at the deadline last year as well too. There's just at that guard and that wings, all the Memphis has a lot of players. they have a lot of guys.
So I agree with you. They've got a lot of players, and I feel like of all of those players who might have more sustainable minutes needed for what the Memphis Grizzlies are going to need to do in order to maintain competitiveness, Roddy to me has more versatility towards that, because I feel like with all of those other guys, they are more situational. Now, it's not to say that they cannot be utilized. I'm just saying, given the circumstances, Roddy has an opportunity for him to supplant himself and make more noise for people to say that he needs to be more involved in the starting rotation, now than what will take place eventually when Ja Morant comes back. That may all change, but I just like Roddy's game altogether to be someone that can eat up a lot of those minutes and be more versatile for that team.
Ooh, well, I already see where we'll have to have another segment of just our favorite type guys, not necessarily breakout guys, but just guys who we just kind of like. You know what I mean?
My type. My type guys. You're tuned to the Baseline. Cali Ward Shaw discussing the hot button topics of the NBA as we are in our conversations on the breakdown with the all breakout team. All right, Shaw, got a couple more dudes that we got to put on that team, man. Evan Mobley. What up with Ev? Because I thought he already should have broke out, but what up with Ev?
He should have, and by all accounts, his numbers were up last year, but not quite in the way that a lot of people were expecting. But Donovan Mitchell came to town. Donovan Mitchell had a phenomenal regular season last year. He was super efficient, over 25 a game, and that stunted the growth, I think, of Evan Mobley somewhat. The guy who I think for Mobley to step up, who might need to take a step back, is actually, I go back to that point guard position, and I really like Darius Garland. I like him a lot. I just don't know that he needs to be at a 20-point per game clip, for Cleveland to be successful. I think he can probably take a step back into mid to high teens and upping his assists and getting Mobley and getting some more touches. And it also may mean Jared Allen is going to get less touches offensively as well too, and really just kind of become a guy who rebounds and cleans up things, which he kind of already is anyway. But Allen may drop from over 10 a game to maybe 8 a game, and 12 plus rebounds for Mobley to take this step. I think Mobley has the talent. The Cleveland Cavaliers and JB should be investing in trying to get him there and to become more aggressive. I don't necessarily know that means they need to push the pace up, because they were one of the worst teams in pace last year as well too. But Mobley needs more touches, and Mobley should be in the high 18, 19, 20 to 21 points per game situation. And plus, he got like roughly 9 rebounds a game last year. That can kind of stay in that same mode, and still playing that stellar defense that he's been known for in the first 2 years of his career. But I know it's a little bit of he's a high draft pick, he should be good anyway. He didn't take the leap that I think a lot of people were expecting last year because of Donovan Mitchell. And this is the year I think we're going to see it happen.
Well, the only way this is going to happen, Shaw, is he has to be a more elevated, like an elevated commodity than Jared Allen. Like right now, Jared Allen is still considered a stronger, more needed player for the Cavaliers as far as taking that next step than Mobley. Now, that's not to say that that's actually true. If you look at the skill set, Mobley should significantly be, leaps and bounds ahead of Jared Allen, but it's just not coming together as quickly as I think everybody's anticipating. And the fact that they wound up getting Donovan Mitchell has accelerated that timetable, so to speak, on Mobley now elevating himself into that, because he really should have been considered part of that trifecta, right? Like if what we're talking about here is Garland, Mitchell, and Mobley. That's what the expectations are for that team to say that they are legit going to make a run for a chip. So it's on Mobley. Mobley has got to get himself to that space. You already see it in Garland. Obviously, you see it in Mitchell, but Mobley has to elevate himself. So I agree with you. And this could very well be the year to do that, because I think if the significance and understanding of Mobley and his role for this team is that he has got to be that third guy, you know what I'm saying? Like the Thunder had with Harden, and like what you see with with Draymond Green and the Warriors. Like what you're seeing here with Mobley is that he has the skill set offensively and defensively to be that guy, to be that important dude, but he has got to put it together, and it's got to stay consistent throughout the course of the. And to your point, Joe, he needs to get shots. I agree with you, but he also has to be the type of player that manufactures and creates those additional opportunities as well too. You've seen moments where Mobley just disappears, right? Like even his presence,
Playoffs.
yeah, even his presence defensively seems to kind of wither away because it's not as vanilla, as it tends to be for most of these, athletic type players with his size and stature and his expectations. But that's where you have to get it, get it in and force your way in there and make that prevalent to how people want to perceive you. So I'm hoping, to your point, Sean Mobley gets to that space. All right, so finally on our list of the all breakout team, DeAndre Hunter. His name has been thrown around a few times, and listen, he's been maligned by trades, and movement, but there really genuinely should be an opportunity for him to quote unquote be in the spotlight, right?
Yeah, I think this is the year with John Collins gone. Hunter can play three. He can play some small ball four for the Atlanta Hawks this year. They have Quinn Snyder in that situation now for the full season going into their training camp. Everybody should have a defined role instead of trying to figuring it out kind of midseason after they let Nate McMillan go. I really like Hunter's overall skill set. He's been on a more of a less of a progression. I think the first year, he did fairly well. Second year, he did maybe a little better, or the case of being. Then last year, he kind of was, I don't know, kind of came into more of a defensive role for Atlanta and not really so much of the offense because they had to institute DeJounte Murray into the fold while still having Collins, into that situation. I think like I said, with Collins being gone now, just like less ball to go around. But I think just even the role of being able to be a versatile, defender, and being able to defend some fours as well as some threes and even some twos, I think in some situations, Hunter's poised for a role similar to Grant Williams to me to some degree, where he's going to be asked to do more by virtue of the team and what they need. And I think we're going to see, again, who are watching on a regular basis, we're going to see him start to step up in that. Again, he doesn't have to be this huge points per game guy, huge rebound guy, huge steals guy, or whatever the case would be. I think his value and the intangible that he's going to bring is going to be something that a lot of people are able to take notice, especially with Quinn Snyder now getting an opportunity to have his system in from the very beginning of the season.
Yeah, I like that pick with DeAndre Hunter because quite frankly, if you're Atlanta Hawks, what else do you have left to go on, right? You're hoping that next to Trae Young and Murray, there is going to be another baller on that team that's going to help really accentuate the style of offense that Quinn Snyder wants to implement. So, yeah, I like that. I like the idea of DeAndre Hunter. I think that he could be sneaky good. Again, we don't know whether or not all of this is going to translate to wins, but what I think it's going to translate to is giving him more of an open canvas, so to speak, for him to shine, for people to really take notice about what he can really bring to the table. So I like that as well too. I want to throw out one kind of a honorable mention and tell me where you are with this. What do you think of Grayson Allen and the situation that's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks? So hear me out real quick on this one, Shaw. Look, Drew Holiday, right, is obviously the guy, right? He's the point guard. He is like really. I don't want to say like the head honcho defensively, but he's one of the best defenders still in the game. But one thing that I've noticed is that the team has taken a step back in their ability to shoot the basketball. And this could really be the opportunity that Grayson Allen comes in and really kind of like that breakout year. I'm not completely sold on Chris Middleton, even if they did go ahead and he re-upped with the Milwaukee Bucks, that he's still going to be fully there. I know that Antetokounmpo and Holland and Holiday want Middleton to be that third guy. And they've got Lopez. But I for some reason really feel like this could be an opportunity for Grayson Allen to really, cement him being that reliable shooting guard that can come in and take the pressure off of Middleton and what the expectations are and his ability to still be that three that they wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, rather than putting it on him to be that guy, you can kind of bounce it off to both of them. And I think this again will elevate the Milwaukee Bucks to being one of those teams being talked about as being the more dangerous teams to make that run to eventually come out of the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's a nice sleeper pick. He's a guy who also is gonna, he's gonna play hard. And know some people will call him dirty in the whole nine, and he's had his moments here and there. But I think what's also going to be good for him is the fact that they also acquired Malik Beasley, so he can't rest. He can't just sit in there and like, all right, well, whatever. I'm the incumbent and I got this. And Pat Connaughton is obviously still there as well too. So he's going to be pushed for the minutes that he's going to earn. I think he will probably peg as a starter unless something unforeseen happens. I think goes into training camp, and he could be poised for a pretty good year. What we don't know is exactly the actual coaching style of Adrian Griffin as a new coach over there, and how everybody will be utilized, and what offense are they running, what defense are they running. We don't know all of those things yet, but I think as a guy who's who knows he has to work hard to stay in the league, I think Grayson Allen is a good bet to potentially have a pretty good season, and we can just kind of see where that lands for him ultimately.
All right. So, it was a lukewarm pick. You didn't completely shoot me down, and I appreciate that.
We're positive vibes here. It's still the off season. You know what I mean? A lot of us are still on vacation, man. There's no reason for any
Still working out the kinks. Still working out the kinks. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee you, though, before we get to tip off, you will be saying something like, that boy Cal is a wild dude while we're live. I mean, I know you say it a lot when we're off before we jump on and start recording, but I'm going to get you to say it when we actually start ramping up our coverage of the NBA.
I have them locked and loaded for you, my brother. No doubt.
In the holster. Once again, man, we really appreciate you and yours for hopping on board with us this week. As always, man, you know where to get at us. Go to www.thebaselinenba.com, and as always, catch us on all of those media outlets. You know how we ride, baby. For the Baseline, Callie, Warren Shaw, we appreciate you guys. You know we do. We'll catch up with you next time.